really enjoy being outside, just hearing the wildlife, the sandhill cranes coming through this time of year, seeing the swans on the lagoon, hearing the different birds, the sound of the lake, you know, how it changes every day. The solitude you can have, or you can have, you know, as much noise as you want around you too.
I loved playing outside as a child. We'd ride bikes, we'd go for walks, we'd go to the dunes with my mom. It was wonderful having all of that out here for us to enjoy. We weren't the richest family, so it was nice to be able to go to the dunes and not only go through the boardwalk, but be on the beach or doing family functional events together.
Of it because it mixes earth, it mixes art, it mixes the senses, it mixes creativity. It is such a inspiring and spurring place. I of course love the sensory garden. That is one of my favorite pieces of it. Not only because it's the scents and the smells and the textures and the different ways that it is, you know, set up. It's very thoughtfully displayed, but it's just a really calm place. It's a really calm place, and when you're looking for some peace, sometimes outside of yourself, to gather it inside of yourself, the lagoon and the garden there has really had really had I've had some one-to-ones with myself at that garden to really just get back in touch with nature and ground myself in my community.
Moved to Northwest Indiana, to the city of Gary, and to Miller Beach community. One of the things that I kept looking is like, how can I participate? How can I be engaged in community? I've always been the type of person that enjoys volunteering. And one of the things that I kept hearing was, you know, the garden walk, though. And the other thing that I kept hearing was about kayaking and all the beauty of nature that surrounds the community in Northwest Indiana. And it's one of the difficulties, as I am a wheelchair user, I want to make sure that that's known. So as a person who likes to volunteer and as a person who likes to participate and what was missing for me was that I was not seeing other people like me who used mobility equipment, and so that was missing. And I would start attending meetings in community meetings, and I saw newspaper articles. That's really what triggered it. How are we participating? And so I thought, well, we need some voices to be recognized and how it could be involved. And so I attended the first meeting.
A number of things came through actually, you know, community engagement, which was finding out what the people of Gary needed, what the citizens of Gary, and also those that surrounded this area, the lagoon area, to make sure that it actually fit all the different populations that it serves within this community. And so I just worked behind the scenes to help, you know, gather data where needed, and also to put in input.
And then the other thing that was happening was that in Michigan City, there was a kayak launch there was a ribbon cutting taking place. And I thought, well, if this can happen here for this accessible launch that was created, why can't we have this for the city of Gary? And that really where it all began. And so in looking at particular areas around the Calumet River, the Lake Michigan, it's like, what would be the best place to have most people participate? That will be really a community engagement and owned by the community versus expecting a government to take care of us. How can we have community engagement and have community ownership? Those are the key questions that I felt were critical to ask and to begin to have dialogue around.
Yeah, without private-public partnerships, I think we wouldn't hit our mark as far as reaching out to everyone in the community, because we do have people that have accessibility issues, and of course we want to accommodate that. And with these partnerships, we're able to have these public launches, these ADA launches. We have ADA equipment that we have here in the park. The new trails that we're biking trails that we're going to be putting in the next year or two. I think it's going to just open up doors for a lot of different people to come out to be able to recreate.
I did invite the individuals from NUPA, the Northwest Indiana Paddling Association, Dan Plath, to see if he would work with us in sharing ideas in what was done for Michigan City, and the same thing with the Park District of Michigan City, what it would take. And so they gave us a dollar figure, more or less, and I said, well, okay, we can do that. It was quite a bit of money, 135,000 to start. That was the minimum, most likely, that we would have to raise or come up with.
When you're looking at projects of this nature, in some places they are well funded by their cities. And those cities have that in their budget. They account for those things, and so it's not necessarily that they have to do the bootstrapping. But in communities like ours, where we have over 40 parks, and the maintenance team for these parks, you can count on one hand. Very limited as far as our budget. The city budget is minimal. They did give us their blessing so that we could go after bigger funding, but the brunt of the work had to happen through volunteerism. And that's why it's important to have the partnerships with public and private entities to be able to not only get grants from, but get sponsorships from. Because sometimes your city may not have it, but the need is there.
We have to look at the total picture, because the Lagoon Outlook Garden, was more than just land. It involved how can you visualize an area where community can come together and be able to be active in land, water, air, and so other things, and to be truly accessible for all. That was the key for me, to be accessible for all. And how can it apply? Yes, we have the Americans with Disabilities Act, that ensures, well, not really ensures, or mandates that places be accessible to people of all abilities, of people with disabilities. But for me, it was more really going beyond the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I always invite people to go beyond, because the ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act, still has certain limitations. It's the minimum that one can offer people.
Universal design, and I know you hear that term thrown around and you're like, what in the world is that? Well, universal design, at least to me, is where you look at a space, whether it's in your home or outside of your home, and you design it where it's accessible for all. It's accessible to people from various different abilities, ages, backgrounds, and uses.
Worked very closely with the Parks Department. And so now, but we continue to have the volunteer support in coordinating some activities. We got the National Park Service, the Douglas Center, to make sure that they provided, they helped us with the kayaking, because we were able to get some equipment, got some volunteers to provide equipment there, some kayaks and so on, and canoes from different organizations that donated there for the community, so that they would be able to help in bringing that equipment and have regular gatherings. And so we started with Sunset Paddle as we continue to work on the garden itself.
The Sunset Paddles, believe it or not, they're our most popular program in the summertime. We book those well in advance and they get filled completely. And a lot of people love the fact that they get to not only get out and paddle right in their own community, but they also get to talk to a ranger about the aquatics in the area, how important Lake Michigan is, and how important aquatic ecosystems are to their lives. So it's kind of neat to get people out, and they get to do something that they don't normally get to do, and we get to talk to them about the ecosystem that surrounds them, basically here on the southern shores of Lake Michigan. The launch site is incredible because we're able to put in our kayaks there, and we're able to accommodate people that have never kayaked, never thought that they could get in a kayak. We can put in our tandem kayaks there, which for those people that are mobility impaired, it's important that they're in a kayak with someone. So that's really important. That really made our job a lot easier. But I think one of the coolest things is the fact that they have this garden there that is just beautiful. It's got butterfly weed and I say butterfly weed because that's my favorite. I love that plant. And to be able to sit there, it's a sensory garden. There's places that you can sit and just relax and look out over the lagoon. And that's part of it. That's part of rejuvenating yourself and just being a part of that outdoor community. Just sitting there and being able to be a part of it and getting that close to the water. So it's important that we have places like that. Miller Woods and the ecosystems around here, the Oak Savanna ecosystem, is one of the most unique ecosystems you're going to find basically in the world, let alone the United States. So the people of Gary, the citizens here have something special, and we like to let them know about it so they can come out and enjoy it and learn in it and recreate in it. Like, we have more orchids in our park than the Hawaiian Islands do. So, you know, yeah, the biological diversity, especially the plant diversity, is just amazing.
Long-term planning, sustainability, and stewardship are key. It is not just about what happens today or what happens tomorrow, but what is your impact over generations? And so it has been key. In this project alone, you know, one of the main key people in getting this off the ground and actually putting their hands in the dirt to actually plant flowers and just get this thing going, they of course retired. And of course you want those, you know, people to go on and enjoy their life. And so part of that long-term planning was actually making sure that there was someone to transition to pass the baton to. And so now we have another person that has come in, and they were actually with the organization, with our group already. So they knew the process, knew where the trajectory was set to go, and they were able to take off running with the next phase of things. So it's always key as you're planning these incredible projects that there is a plan for the succession and how we continue to steward the property and maintain it.
We usually start in April, end of March, and we do like cleanup from whatever's left over from the fall that needs to be trimmed back. There's always garbage to pick up every week. But then it's just like deadheading, or just actually even just sitting and enjoying the gardens as well, talking to the people that use the garden.
Enough to make the weeds get opened up.
So now what is really amazing is that people from all over, from various cities, are coming to actually research it, learn how we did it, get the plan to help take it back where they're from. And so believe me, if we can do it here, you can do it anywhere. It is feasible and it is doable.
Of kayaking, and a bunch of the elected officials and other city organizations that I'm a part of, like the Fight organization, the Lake Station Lions Club, we all came together to raise money to put the kayak launch in, and it was something that I thought that people from everywhere would come and utilize. So it was important to me, and I'm glad that we were able to make it happen in the city of Lake Station. That is Veterans Memorial Park. It is right across the street from Riverview Park, and so it was a good access point for anybody that was going to visit the park, and it's in a nice quiet area where you can gain access to the river and be able to go upstream or downstream, and they thought that that was the best location for it. My father is a quadriplegic and has been since I was 5 years old. It is very important for me to have ADA accessible locations for people that need those. And it doesn't matter if you're young or old, you may be paralyzed and you need access to be able to utilize the things that I'm able to utilize. So it helps to bring more people to the kayak launch or whatever else we may partake in.
And so I just want to remind you, as you're looking through this, be excited. And I'm excited for you. Be excited about what you can bring to your city. We have a number of different cities that this is inspired, and we are looking forward to what they are actually doing in their spaces.